Now we want to load our third and last drum, a hi-hat, which will complete our small setup. We load it into drum slot number 3 by clicking on its Load button. We're shopping for a hi-hat, so let's select drum type hi-hat in the filter menu. As we notice if we pay attention, the hi-hats have many articulations, even more than the snare. They have many levels of openness and also pedal and tip modes. The hi-hats are now being auditioned through bus number 2. We can hear this clearly because when we click on the hi-hats, they have a lot of reverb. Why do we hear that reverb? Are all the hi-hats recorded like that? No. The reason they all have reverb is that we are auditioning through bus number 2, and that bus is the bus we selected for the snare, and as you hopefully recall, we added a reverb to that bus. It's a fantastic feature of drum experience that you can hear a drum play through different buses even before loading the drum. If we try and switch the audition bus to bus number 3, the reverb disappears because bus number 3 has no effects yet. It's also possible to audition drums from this window directly to one of Drum Experience's 16 stereo output channels, bypassing the whole bus system. In any case, bus number 3 is the one we want to use for this drum so that all drums are given their own bus. We click Load and select bus number 3 from the list. Let's add a reverb effect to this bus. Let's add an equalizer to the bus as well. And finally, we come up with some clever name for our bus. Let's go crazy and call it hi-hat. There we have it. A good basic setup with a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. We could have ended this Getting Started guide here, as we have shown the most important steps to get going. But I have a few more things to show which are important to have seen to get the most out of drum experience. The first thing I'll show is how to create a room bus, which receives the room microphones for all the drums, while only the more close-range microphones are activated on the individual drum buses. We'll begin by giving bus number 4 the name Room. Then we'll open up the Bus Inputs window for that bus. Here we see that all the microphones are turned off for all drums. What we want to do is turn up the volume of the room mics and the overhead mics. Now if we solo this bus, we hear that only the far-away microphones are playing. The next step is to open the Bus Inputs window for the kick, snare, and hi-hat buses. There we'll turn off the overhead and room microphones. When we have done this for all the drum buses, we have a setup which is very common for mixing drums, because now we have the option to insert a compressor effect on the room bus to get a heavily compressed room sound, which sounds amazing together with the uncompressed close-range microphones on the other buses. We click the topmost effect slot and select Compressor. There it is, the Bonafide compressor. Here we select a suitable compressor preset. Now we have arrived at the final subject of this tutorial, and that is to create a master bus. The idea is to have a single bus sitting between the other buses and the output channels, so all audio going out from Drum Experience will pass through it. This is not something that is necessary to do, but it can offer a convenient way to control the master volume with one slider and perhaps add some final effects to the whole drum sound, such as a limiter or an equalizer. Looking at the bottom of all the buses, we see that their output channel is set to 1, 2. We click that box, and in the menu that pops up, we select None, which makes the bus audio not to be sent out of Drum Experience at all. If we now play the drums, we see that the VU meters animate, but no sound is heard. We'll soon fix that. Let's name bus number 5 Master. Let's open the Bus Inputs window for bus 5. Here we are not going to turn on any microphones, but instead we head over to the other tab called Buses. Here we have the option to receive audio from other buses. This is exactly what we need. Let's turn on all the buses from 1 to 4 and set their volume to 0 decibels. Now, if we play the drums by clicking their slots, we'll once again hear them. Now we see how all the sound from the drum buses and from the room bus pass through the master bus. I have in this video shown how to put together a small setup with 3 drums and a few insert effects. Then, I showed some ways to use the flexible system of drum experience to set up such things as a room bus and a master bus. Doing this has allowed us to explore the basics of the drum experience system with drums, articulations, microphones, buses, and effects. There is, of course, a lot more to learn before truly mastering the program, but this should get you going past the first few test flights. The pitch and envelope system, the MIDI mapping system, automation, and other powerful features will be demonstrated in depth in their own tutorials down the line. I hope this video has answered a lot of the questions popping up when learning a program such as this, and that you keep experimenting with different setups in search of the perfect one for the kind of music you're recording. And one more thing. Don't forget that there are a lot of presets which take care of the difficult work and deliver fantastic sounds without any hard labor. Thank you for listening to the very end.